Greetings and welcome to episode 183 of the Words About Gamescast, the weekly video game podcast for Words About Games. I'm your host, Amy Alexander, and I am joined this week by the lovely, the wonderful, exceptional, Patrick Welsh.
Hello.
Hello. I was pumping
Don't
you
feel
up.
the need to oversell me.
I'm not overselling you. I'm selling you. Okay, so it's overselling and underselling. What's just selling? I guess it's just selling, right? I'm just selling you.
Chilling?
I'm normal. I mean, I'll always shill for you. Like that's just how it is. How are you?
Oh, it's fine. A bit sleepy.
Oh, it's yeah. We should start doing these in the daytime instead of like at night.
Well, also, in November where it starts getting dark at like noon.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah, it's my least favorite time of year. Winter. I like spooky season.
I like spooky season. I miss the spooky.
Spooky season is cool. When it's getting dark around like 6-7 o'clock, that's when it's good times.
I think we're lucky in that there's a great tradition in Britain of ghost stories at Christmas. So spooky season can be 3 months long.
Spooky season should be 12 months long. I'm gonna start a petition. Did you see that? Did you see that people started a petition to Donald Trump and the United States government to get them to stop selling Pokemon?
What is this about Dexit?
Yeah.
God's sake.
This is the world we live in now. It's bad that happened. Probably worse that my reaction to that was just to be like, yeah, that seems about right.
That seems right. God, what was the last? Did they not? Was there not a petition for him to remake The Last Jedi or something?
I know there was a Kickstarter or a crowdfunding of some sort where it was like, oh, we're gonna remake The Last Jedi and make it good.
There was the edit of it with no
edit.
women in it.
Yeah,
it was 4 minutes long and made no sense.
Obviously, why? That's morbidly curious to watch that though.
Don't.
I just want to see.
At least don't watch it sober anyway.
I mean, we'll see. I don't do not sober anymore, but I might make an exception to watch that. Or if I just play a bit of Death Stranding, and then my brain will feel like it's drunk, and then I can just watch it.
It's because it's expanding your mind, man.
It was.
He's ahead of his time. He's a visionary.
He's a visionary genius.
He's a genius. In fairness to him, the ending to Metal Gear Solid 2 did kind of predict the shitty world that we're in now. So,
well, in that case, we've got a lot to look forward to. I'm
not suggesting Donald Trump is, a super villain and probably of les enfants terribles, because everyone knows that George Bush was the one who was Solid Snake because he was the 43rd president.
Gotcha. I haven't played. Full disclosure to anyone watching, I haven't played. I've only played the 5th one. Patrick keeps me right on things like Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, we were saying off mic that Metal Solid 5 is probably a good one to play because it is the least crazy.
Yeah, and then I feel like I've just gone from like least crazy to Death Stranding, whatever the hell Death Stranding is.
Death Stranding sounds like it's Metal Gear Solid without the sort of grounded realism.
That much is certain. It's Kojima Unleashed and all of the things that entails. When we said it, I don't think we knew that. I don't know that anyone was really thinking that this was what it meant. Anyway, I'm just stalling while my page opens, and now it's opened. This is the Words About Gamescast, where each week we discuss 5 stories centered around what's been going on in gaming, games culture, and the games industry. Before we leave you with a list of all the games that are coming out throughout the week. The lists are starting to get shorter now. We've exited the crazy period of all of the games coming out all at once. This week, we discuss all of the reveals from Microsoft's XO19 episode of Inside Xbox, a car crash AMA by Google Stadia executives, the latest NPD results, BioWare's plans to totally overhaul Anthem, and the RuneScape developers' plans to overhaul its monetization options after one player allegedly spent over $60,000. I read that number and it still hasn't sunk in that, like, how big that is. As always, there are timestamps in the description below the video on YouTube, so you can watch this podcast in any way that you see fit. You're going to skip about all over the place. So if you just want to watch the whole thing from back to front, go for it. We don't mind. We're just happy that you're here. I'm just happy that you're here. I think. The comments have been fairly positive on videos recently.
Good.
But that's because I've spent 5 weeks doing Blizzard stuff, and like that doesn't drag out the crazy people.
It's not really. It's like everyone's sort of on the same position, from free speech advocates to raging xenophobes who hate the Chinese. So.
Yeah, we're all on the same page somehow.
It's not really controversial in the Anglosphere to say, fuck the Chinese government.
Yeah, free Hong Kong, but
like you go and read the comments of some of the people, and it's like, free Hong Kong, fuck China, and then it's like the MAGA hat and
and
the American flags and the freedom and the Second Amendment bollocks, and it's like, oh god,
we're on the same
only the
team.
baddies.
No, don't fall for it. We're not the baddies. Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Even a racist, stupid clock is.
Even a racist, moronic clock is right twice a day. Yeah, I feel like the crazies might be coming. If they watch that intro. Let's move on. Let's jump in. We're not talking about Blizzard at all this week, but I'm really happy about that. Thank fucking God. Jesus Christ. It's too much. It's just too much. Just chill for a bit. We're going to be talking about XO19, which was Microsoft's big fan fest event that happened in London. I didn't get to go. My friend Corey got to go. I'm really jealous because he met everyone who works at Xbox. He met Phil. Here's a picture of him, shaking hands, Phil Spencer. And I was like, damn, that's cool, man. I like that. Anyway, they also had a big episode of Inside Xbox, probably the best one they've had yet. Do you want to know what was in it? Everything! So many games. It's like the opposite of a normal Microsoft press conference. They had all the games. So they revealed games-wise, or release dates and stuff. They revealed Grounded, which is going to be a multiplayer survival simulator set in someone's back garden, and you're about this tall. Which is coming in spring 2020 in early access, which is a different kind of flex for Obsidian. But I suppose they just finished Outer Worlds, so
is anyone else sort of thinking it's a bit Anthem-y?
Potentially.
And that this is a historically a studio that makes single player RPG games, which is now making a multiplayer, a massively multiplayer game.
The thing, there was a running theme through XO19's presentation, where it was mentioned 5 or 6 times by different people that all the studios they bought are all working on games and they're all cool, but there's all multiple teams in these studios working on multiple different things. So a lot of things happen because there's this one, there's a rare one we're going to talk about, and then there's Ninja Theory's game that we're going to talk about. I think these are all smaller games that they can get out quickly while the main team works on the main game. If you know what I mean, Outer Worlds is just finished. That was probably a big part of Obsidian's team making this game.
Yeah.
So a smaller team of
probably a main team's probably still working on it.
Probably. I still can't finish it because I've got that bug where it crashes when you walk into a room on the last level, and they haven't patched it yet. So still waiting. I would like to finish game.
Hi, it's a game by Obsidian. What are you expecting?
It's the only bug I've come across in the entire thing. I've put 25 hours of my life into this game. It's I'm 30 minutes or so from the end. Just let me finish it. Please. Just let me finish it.
Oh, God. Obsidian doing a multiplayer survival game.
I think
it's going to be so funny on the first week.
I think that's why it's coming to early access.
Everyone's heads are going to swivel like The Exorcist.
Probably. That's why
I love Obsidian because their reach just their reach just slightly outstretches their grasp every time. They aim for the sun every time, and I love them so much for that.
But they go for it.
They have such great writing and such great characterization, and it's like
So
the
good.
rest of the world can't contain them.
Like, I love the Outer Worlds. It's one of my favorite games of the year. Like, because of the characters and the writing.
Kind of low key as well. Like I think that's been kind of like doing well as like a sleeper hit, while everyone else has been talking about everything else. I think
it's weirdly sandwiched in between like the big stuff, like the stuff everyone's talking about, like Death Stranding and Pokemon, and like just before that, obviously, Call of Duty. So it's like, or just around that time, you had Call of Duty. So the benefits probably from being in Game Pass, where like I boot up my Xbox, and even though I have the game installed, like one of the pins on there is just like play the Outer Worlds because you've got a Game Pass, so you can just download it, and it's like, oh. Like, I imagine a lot of people are probably like seeing it and being like, oh, that's I can just click this button and I've got the Outer Worlds, and I'll be able to play it in 3 days because it's massive.
Yeah, it's probably helped by the discourse about Fallout 76 being so bad as well.
That helps. Like, Fallout 76 having another major controversy just as the Outer Worlds was releasing probably like helped somewhat. But granted, it looks cool. I always like games like with that kind of weird perspective shift where you're a tiny like person and or thing in like the normal world and everything's huge. Like, it was a bit weird when they were like, because that was how they revealed it, and it was like, it's someone's back on, and this giant ant, well, there's normal sized ants, but because you are tiny, they are giant. And then it was like, and bring your friends, and I was like, wait, what? Bring your what? Bring your friends? I wasn't expecting this. And like, you just build stuff. Like,
yeah, welcome to video games for the last 10 years. You build things.
You build things.
It's what the kids like these,
apparently. Battle royales, building things, and something called auto chess is now the next big thing, apparently. But
I think that, God, you're so behind, Amy. That was the big thing like 6 months ago.
I know I'm so behind. I'm playing
chess.
I'm playing a single player role playing game.
What?
with no addition, with no post game and no additional content. And no.
Are there any Pokemon in it?
There's lightsabers. I've actually still got my Xbox on. Like, as soon as we finish this podcast and wrapped it up, I'm just going to pick that controller up and start playing again. But anyway, also revealed was Everwild, which is Rare's new IP. It's a game.
It's very pretty.
It's pretty. It's a very pretty game. That's all I know about it. It wasn't playable or anything like that. It was one of the few games at the show that didn't have a release window attached to it. But yeah, like, one of my overriding memories of Sea of Thieves, which I'm very much on a different page to most people, is that I enjoyed Sea of Thieves quite a bit. It looks really good, which I think everybody kind of agreed on, and this game looks really good too. So I just hope the combat's better than it was in Sea of Thieves. and I'm totally not disappointed that they're not making Perfect Dark, even though I think that ship sailed about 10 years ago.
Yeah, have you seen Perfect Dark now?
Yeah, I know.
It's on top of everything else. Like, what would that game be? It's kind of just a kind of very generic, slightly futuristic cyberpunk.
Yeah.
First-person shooter. Like, I don't really know that Perfect Dark, besides name recognition, is really a going concern anymore.
And even then, I feel like it would have the same type of name recognition as like Shenmue, where it's like, I lost my fucking shit when Shenmue was announced at E3 that one year. Like, when it was like the music started playing, and because I'm a Shenmue fan, I was like, fuck, it's Shenmue. But at the time, I was very much grounded in reality by the fact that the people I was surrounded with when we were watching that E3 press conference were just like, and? So I was like losing my shit, and they were just like, what? And why is this a big deal? And I was like, it's fucking Shenmue. And then they re-released the first tier, and it was like, ooh, these do not hold up well. Bleeding Edge is coming out in March 2020. That's the 4v4 brawler from the guys that brought you such fun, colourful classics as Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. It's a little bit of a departure from their previous game.
Is it though? Because they're always just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, no, like just their previous game. Like I was talking to Keith about this because he played Hellblade. He loved Hellblade, and he's never played. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite games.
It's God at War, but woke.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite games of the last decade. But he's not played Enslaved or Heavenly Sword or the DMC Devil May Cry.
Oh, the really good one that everyone hates.
I liked that game, so I'm on board with that. Like, I thought that game was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I
haven't actually played it, but I love the aesthetic of it. I love that, it's just fantastically realized.
The aesthetic's good.
Like, I would expect something like that from them. I think it's just unfortunate that it had the Devil May Cry name associated with it. And so it was like, wow, he looks like Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Hashtag,
Emo Dante. It's just like,
hashtag not my Dante.
And then it turns out like, and then it's like, but Emo Dante looks just like Nero. It's almost exactly identical to Nero.
Devil May Cry 5 got announced, I saw Nero. It's like, oh, they got Dante from DMC.
That's what I thought. And when I was playing the game, I was like, is this just Dante from DMC?
And they modded him on Cody Rhodes, the wrestler.
Yeah, it's just like, what's happening right now? Like, is this the multiverse? Is this the multiverse? But
it was probably necessary because I can't tell the difference between Dante and Nero otherwise.
Fair. But no, like as amazing a game as Hellblade is, like Ninja Theory is really, really good at making third-person, like melee-focused action games, which is exactly what Bleeding Edge is. Which is why I'm quite excited to play the game. I'm not in the alphas or any of the betas or anything, so I haven't got my hands on the game. Microsoft didn't bother showing up at EGX. So I didn't get to play it, but it looks cool. And I don't think I've ever played a Ninja Theory game where I would say that was bad. Like even Kung Fu Chaos, I enjoyed. It was a weird, funny little game. Also announced, Tell Me Why.
Oh boy.
It's Don't Nod's next game, which stars a transgender man as a protagonist. And I was like, because I watched this live. I was lying in bed watching it on the big screen, and it came on, and I was like, "It's Don't Nod. Oh, they're making another narrative, Life is Strange type style game." I was like, "This is cool because Life is Strange is awesome."
Another unbearably twee.
I like Life is Strange.
I love Life is Strange,
but
it's my jam.
But I was watching it.
It's made just for me,
and I had the exact kind of reaction that you had, where I was like, because when you're watching the trailer and then like halfway through the trailer, it's like, oh, that's what this is about, and it was like, oh, cool, and then I was like, oh no, like it was like, oh, cool, the game, the discourse.
Again, I'm probably not one to comment, but this could go so very wrong. In fairness, if anyone's going to handle it delicately, it's probably going to be Don't Nod, but maybe get some trans people on your dev team.
Yep, that would be nice. Just in the room with you when you're doing the whole story thing. Like, I get that they consulted with GLAD and they talked to people that they knew, but like, there is a difference between that and having someone in the room making the game alongside you in real time, as opposed to just consulting with them and then going off and making the game.
Especially considering how well they handled the dialogue of teenage girls.
Yeah,
which I enjoyed.
I enjoyed the game. Don't get me wrong, I really did. But yeah, it did feel forced.
A little bit
in Life is Strange, just a little bit forced. But like, I'm gonna.
Someone's doing it. Give them credit for going 100%. There.
Like, I'm glad, like, that someone is going there. Like, it's about time. And like, Don't Nod is
baby steps.
Is a studio that I'm choosing to be optimistic. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
About how this is going to turn out. The discourse, on the other hand, is something I'm not looking forward to.
Whatever. FS, I suspect most of the Dude Bro Gamergate chuds probably haven't played a game by Don't Nod, so
And long may it stay that way.
Do you think Microsoft's going to buy Don't Nod?
I don't know. I thought that's where that was going.
Yeah.
At XO19, I was like, have they bought Don't Nod? Like, and then obviously they hadn't, but like, they seem settled. Like, in I feel like that was one takeaway I got from XO19 as a whole. It's like they seem like they've settled on their roster of studios and like who they've got to make different types of games. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a press release next week and they were like, "We bought Don't Nod." I'd be like, "Yeah, okay."
Well, maybe they're waiting to see how it does, because it's the first game they've done a while that wasn't published by Square Enix.
Vampire.
Oh yeah,
It was published by.
Oh
Focus.
yes, Doctor Acula.
Dr. Acula. Oh, what a game! Fucking hell. I'm not allowed to be too critical of that game because everybody else liked it.
I need to go play it. I think it might be my jam.
It's really bad, but kind of in a cool way. Like, if you can take it.
Just stick on easy, just go around Victoria going, I am Dr. Acula.
I feel like you could have some fun if you did that. And there was another game announced that I realize isn't on this list that I made because it wasn't on the list that. Love you. Keep making stuff. I realized it's not on this list because it wasn't on the list that I used from the internet. It was that weird. It was by the guys who made Virginia, and it's like 3 different stories.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and Virginia is cool, and I feel like this game is going to be cool, but it wasn't on the list, and I just can't remember its name. But it was something very similar to Tell Me Why. Like, it was very. It wasn't like, Fire Punch, video games have weird names like that, right? Because that markets well. I want to know.
It's very stable. Last Stop.
That looked cool. I'm interested. Nice to see them sort of getting out there, and because Virginia was marketed nowhere by no one to no one. Like, it was just played by a few people who went, "This is really good," and everybody else just went, and I feel like that's half of my time. I spent half of my time on YouTube trying to grab people by the collar and just be like, "This thing you've never heard of is really good," and I'm just shouting at like.
It sounds like me talking about Life is Strange. It's like, no, it's great.
No, it's great. Like,
everyone's a lesbian.
Everyone's gay. It's like Dragon Age 2.
It's like this weird sort of. It's. I don't know. Deadly Premonition for millennial teens.
And see, I love Deadly Premonition, so it's no wonder I love Life is Strange.
I say Deadly Premonition, I meant to say Twin Peaks. You see?
It's the same thing. Deadly Premonition is Japanese. Twin Peaks is Life is Strange. Other things that I care a little bit less about, don't not care about them, just less. Age of Empires 4 was revealed.
I care about Age of Empires 4.
You may speak. You speak.
I would probably care more if I had a PC that could run.
That's true. You have a Mac, right?
Yeah, so I can't run Age of Empires 2. At least not well. Yeah.
Xbox Game Pass sorted. You've got an Xbox, right?
Yeah.
It'll be out on Xbox, I think.
What, Age of Empires?
Yeah, sure. They're bringing out Civ.
Civ is turn-based.
It'll be fine.
Age of Empires is StarCraft with knights.
That sounds awesome. My TV's about to turn itself off. I hope that doesn't somehow affect my entire setup.
It will.
Crossfire X, apparently the biggest first-person shooter on PC. They kept saying over and over again.
Bigger than Mag.
Bigger than Mag. Everything's bigger than Mag. But I was like, really? Like, that's not Counter-Strike? I've never heard of Crossfire. And then it was like, X is going to give it to you. Was blaring throughout the entire thing because Crossfire X. And all I was just like, Resident Evil. Like the entire time it was doing X going to give it to you. All I thought about was Mr. X. But apparently they're doing a campaign to go along with the multiplayer, and it's being made by Remedy Entertainment. So, that's...
So...
I like Remedy Entertainment. I may actually be more interested in this game now. Control was awesome. And I'm sure this will be good too. Minecraft Dungeons comes out in April 2020.
Yay.
Yay. And Wasteland 3 comes out in May 2020. Talk about that for a sec while I just stop the apocalypse from happening in my...
Right. It took me a moment to realize that Wasteland 3 is not, in fact, Rage 3, which I always forget. So Wasteland 3 it is the one that's basically... I was going to say post-apocalyptic Fallout, and then it's like, well, duh, no shit. It's like Western Fallout, but without the 50s aesthetic. So that's cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. I've never played the first two Westlands, but they showed the trailer at E3 and then they showed this bit at XO19, and I was like, I might actually pick this up. I was sucked in, Park, by the...
Suck it in.
By the... I was sucked in by the pre... Not marketing, by the pre-show leaks or like rumors or reports.
All right.
And that they were going to shadow drop something. And I was like, well, if they shadow drop something, they'll do it last. Like, whatever comes with Blast, that's the thing that they're going to release. Like, and it's available now. And then Wasteland 3 it came up, and I was like, I don't have time in my life for like 80-hour RPG. I was like, please don't release this game today. At that point, I hadn't started Star Wars yet. I hadn't started Pokemon. I just started Death Stranding. It's like, please don't do this to me. And they didn't, thankfully. They seem to be trying to do that Nintendo-ish thing where they have a game coming out every month.
I think that's a good thing. I think it's been healthy for Nintendo doing the Switch.
Yeah,
because they've basically had like March, April to themselves for the last couple of years.
Yeah, pretty much like the reason I was able to complete Fire Emblem with ease, even though I spent 62 hours playing it, was because nothing else really came out.
Nintendo absolutely curb stomped summer. It's like, oh, no one releases games in summer. I was like, here's Mario Maker and Fire Emblem, bitches.
And guess what? I spent the majority of my summer playing Mario Maker and Fire Emblem.
More to the point, guess what everyone talked about for like 2 months was Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem was
Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem was just one of the most talked about things on my Twitter feed. For 2 months.
It just sounded like people didn't stop talking about that until the fucking Goose Game came out.
I know. I love video game Twitter and the way things
which was also
just
on the Switch.
The way things like everybody was sharing constant Mario Maker levels, and then Fire Emblem came out, and everybody was sharing clips of Fire Emblem.
Everyone was sorting through their waifus.
And then everybody was arguing about houses and romance partners, and then
everyone was saying how great Alucard was until she turned out to be a fascist.
I sided with Claude. From the get-go.
Yes. Everyone wants to bang Claude. No,
I banged Dorothea. Yeah.
Yes, of course, because she's bae.
Because I set up Benedetta with Raphael, because it was the sweetest, most wholesome pairing in the entire universe. But this massive JRPG, like fucking epically long, 4 different campaigns with 60 hours apiece, and then the thing that gets people to stop talking about it on game Twitter is a fucking Goose Game. Where you run around, you're a bit of an asshole, and you're a goose. I was like, all right, fair enough. But so I like this approach. It's probably because of Game Pass. Like, you put a game in Game Pass, and then you subscribe for a month because this game's out, and then next month another game is out. Yeah. Because
otherwise, people will just subscribe in September and then let it lull in February.
Yeah, yeah, you're exactly right. Like even as someone who is subscribed, I've got Game Pass Ultimate, and I'm never gonna not have Game Pass Ultimate. I keep getting surprised by games coming out, and I got to play the Outer Worlds without breaking a sweat, and then when I was done with that, i.e., waiting for the patch, Obsidian, it was oh, After Party is just come out, and it's in Game Pass. I'll download it. It's the beauty of Game Pass. And speaking of the beauty of Game Pass, do you want me to take a very deep breath and tell you what's coming to Game Pass? I've even missed some stuff off of here, because these games are also coming out. Available now in Game Pass, that was the Shadow Drop thing. It was like, this is available right now. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, Age of Wonders Planetfall, Hearts of Iron 4, Lego The Ninjago Movie Video Game,
Fuck yeah, the Ninjago movie video game.
Rage 2, Remnant from the Ashes, The Talos Principle, and Tracks the Train Set game. Coming before the end of 2019 into Game Pass, Darksiders 3, Life is Strange 2, The Red Strings Club, excellent game, Van Bryce, Cold Soul, The Escapists 2, Halo Reach, finally, My Friend Pedro, and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And then in 2020, Carry On, Chris Tales, Cyber Shadow, Double Kick Heroes, Age of Eternity, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy IX, Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X-2, Final Fantasy XII, Final Fantasy XIII, Final Fantasy XIII-2, Final Fantasy XIII Lightning Returns, and Final Fantasy XV, Forager, Haven, It Lurks Below, Levelhead, Fogs, She Dreams Elsewhere, Skatebird, Streets of Rage 4, Scourge Bringer, Superland, Tekken 7, Tuhu Lunar Nights, The Red Lantern, West of Dead, and the 3 Yakuza games they announced. 0, 1, and 2. The remix of the film for 1 and 2. And then obviously on top of that, you've got all of their first party games. So all the games we just talked about, like Bleeding Edge and Everwild, and it's just wow.
Yeah.
Game Pass, right? Game Pass.
Some of those, that's all the 3D Final Fantasies that aren't MMOs, and Square never, they'll charge fucking full price for those.
It's how many times have they re-released Final Fantasy VII full price?
Microsoft must have thrown a fuck ton of money at people for this.
But it's if you subscribe,
this cannot be this must be a loss leader. I don't see how this is profitable.
It's a subscription service, right? You get more people to subscribe to the subscription service, you make more money. You can spend more money doing stuff like, hey, let's get Final Fantasy in, and then that'll in turn get more people to subscribe. If you can pay it's not even $10.99 a month. $10.99 a month is how much I pay. And that's Game Pass Ultimate. You wouldn't even need that. You would need the bug standard $6.99 a month, and you get, like you just said, all of the 3D Final Fantasies that aren't MMOs. That's
which are all individually about 15 quid.
Yeah, that's what, 6 months longer to finish or to play through Final Fantasy's history from 1997 to present day. That's nuts. That's nuts. and there's so many games already on the service that are worth playing. It's just fucking nuts. Game Pass, if you have an Xbox, right, and you game on it regularly, and you don't have Game Pass, I don't understand. I don't understand that. There's just so much value in this one subscription service. It's like Netflix back when Netflix, didn't have any competitors and had all the stuff before you had to subscribe to a million different things. I'm impressed.
Yeah, but Netflix also has a fuck ton of debt.
That is true.
I wish Netflix every success. They seem to have taken Keynesian economics to a next level, which is astonishing in the capitalist dystopia we live in. But
yeah, But sorry. But
I just wonder what Microsoft's end game for this is. Is it just is it just to play for market dominance? Just sell a bunch of Xboxes, because I can't imagine it's profitable in
they don't even need to sell the Xboxes,
no,
right? It's on PC. You can get Game Pass Ultimate and get stuff on PC. It's not the same library. There's differences. But Age of Empires 2, which I mentioned being in Game Pass, that's obviously only on PC.
That's not going to be on Xbox. Sadly.
Yeah. Hey, the Command and Conquer was once on Xbox. You never know.
Don't remind me.
Warcraft 2 was also on PlayStation that one time.
Age of Empires 2 was on PlayStation.
I cut my teeth on those real-time strategy games on consoles, and Now I don't play the genre much anymore. I wonder if those two things are connected in some way. The other big focus for Microsoft was Project xCloud. I wonder why they were focusing on that. I wonder if there's anything coming out within the next 7 days that that may be like a competitor to this. So there's been a preview going for a while. I'm in the preview, haven't tried it yet. Looking forward to trying it. In the preview, there was 4 games available up until Thursday, which was like Gears 5, Halo, Forza Horizon game, and Sea of Thieves, I think. They've just added 50 plus titles to the Project xCloud preview. So you don't have to pay for them, you don't have to buy them. They're there so you can test them out on Project xCloud. These games include Bloodstained, Devil May Cry 5, Hellblade, Hitman, Vermintide 2, and a bunch of other stuff. So I guess I've got options available to me if I want to try Project xCloud. So if I'm going to try it, I've got the thing on my phone and everything, and I've got a controller over there. They're going to be expanding the input devices. So at the moment, you can only use an Xbox controller that's got Bluetooth, so one of the newer Xbox One controllers. They're going to be expanding the input devices you can use to include Razer controllers and the DualShock 4, which is
Hooray!
nice.
That's nice. I mean, there's no technical reason why you couldn't.
No, it's just a Bluetooth controller, right? What Sony going to do is sue them. The previews being that would be funny. I feel like there's like a 5% chance that might happen.
Yeah, like it seems like something to do. It's like, excuse me,
you can't use this.
It's like, why not? It's a Bluetooth controller. All we're doing is like optimizing it for it. I once tried playing Eternal Darkness with a DualShock. Works fine.
Yeah, cool.
Works fine.
I wouldn't think. Why wouldn't?
I was trying to do a stream for Halloween. That's why.
No, I'd like to watch you stream. I think that would be entertaining. I like it. I'm into the idea. Let me know when you're going to be streaming. The preview is going to be expanded with more invites going up.
It's like, yes, this is not historically accurate. Oh my god, there's a corpse in the bath. I'm scared. I can't do it.
Yes, that's why I want to watch it. So there's more invites going to be going out because obviously with more games they want to test the bandwidth a bit more. According to Xbox, of the over 3,500 games on Xbox One a day and 1,900 games currently in development for Xbox One are all already working on xCloud, which is impressive. But then the xCloud is just an Xbox in the cloud, so I guess there's no reason why that wouldn't be the case.
No, it's the same. If it's the same architecture, there's no mechanical reason, I suppose. I mean, in fairness, is it a streaming thing? Like all the computation is done off-site, so yeah, it doesn't really matter what the hardware is. What matters is the bandwidth.
Yeah, like there'll be like certain bandwidth limits. Like if you have this much download and upload speed, you can get this, and all the way up to like 4K. Although I don't know why I'd want 4K on my phone, but you know.
Yeah, if you're streaming stuff from 4K to your phone.
Because it's a beta, it only works on Android devices at the moment. They're testing it on mobile before they move on to things like PCs or like TVs and stuff like that.
Or the Switch.
Tinfoil hat. It's coming. It's coming. I believe. xCloud's also going to be bringing along your friends, your achievements, your saved games, and your progression so that you don't have to start over. Which makes 100% sense. I don't know why they wouldn't do that, but I guess they've got to say it out loud at some point. And the preview is also going to be expanding to more territories in 2020, including Canada, India, Japan, and Western Europe. Which is cool.
Assuming Britain is still in Western Europe.
I mean, we're already in the preview, so from my cold dead hands. xCloud is probably the only way I would try a game streaming service, at least in the short term, because it's basically going to tie into my Xbox profile, which means all of the games I own, or like Game Pass, is going to be available on it. So I don't need to I don't need to do the Stadia model of buying an entirely separate game for full price to just to play it on the cloud. Like, that doesn't sound good to me. But if am I just accessing my own library? Yeah, sure, I might bust out my phone and a Bluetooth controller. Like, just go to town on it. maybe I'm reviewing something and I just go, oh, you know what? I can sneak in an hour while I'm on the bus. Dun, 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 dun. Speaking of Stadia, should we move on to the next topic? Are we done with Xbox? Should we?
I think so. Yeah.
Should we do this? Should we do this thing?
I mean,
this
it's kind of it's a tale of two companies.
It is. It certainly is. It's like it's related. It's almost like here's one side of the coin and here's the other side of the coin. This story I picked on the headline alone. Number 2. Reading Stadia's AMA is like watching a train crash everyone is weirdly happy to be involved in.
I love Eurogamer. They're so salty.
I know. This is from Imogen Beckering over at Eurogamer with the headline of the year, who writes, last week, Reddit held a Google Stadia AMA with publisher experience lead Barry Lee and Stadia director of product Andrei Doronichev to answer questions about the somewhat anticipated Stadia launch.
The shade.
They both did a pretty thorough job of answering Redditors' questions, and the tone of the whole thing seemed positive, despite most of the information being about how many features the system will be missing at launch. For example, Stadia will have parental controls from launch day, but no family sharing, meaning you'd have to buy separate games for you and your child's Stadia account. Quote, it's a high priority feature we're planning to launch early next year, quote, wrote Doronichev. Other things the system won't have at launch include an achievements UI. You can earn them, just not look at them. 4K, HDR, and 60 frames per second on anything other than a Chromecast Ultra. The Buddy Pass, which becomes available about 2 weeks after you receive your bundle. A bunch of multiplayer features like Stream Connect, the first game with this feature, is expected to launch by the end of the year, among a few others. Oh, and if you have a Chromecast Ultra device already, this will require a software update due soon after launch. So if you've ordered a Founders Edition Stadia, what exactly will you get on the 19th of November release date? Access to 12 entire games, and an invite code to make your account and claim your Stadia name, of course. You could even get the rest of your kit, the controller and Chromecast you paid for, in the following days, provided your delivery person is on schedule. If you live in close proximity to the Google offices, your delivery person could even be Andrei Doronichev himself. Quote,
what?
You know what? Here's a crazy idea. Let me personally deliver one, he offered during the AMA. If you're in the Bay Area and you're okay with me coming to your house at 9 a.m. on the 19th, please DM me with your pre-order number.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'll pick one person based on order received and how close you are to my house and drop by on my way to work. Bring your order, and we could even play your first game together. WDYT?
God, somewhere there's a PR manager having a stroke.
There are some positives to come out of the AMA, however. When you get your code to create your account on the system, even if you don't have the hardware, you'll be able to play straight away on a Chrome browser or using a Google Pixel phone, using mouse and keyboard or a compatible controller. Oh, but you can't actually do the initial setup or buy games without your phone, because again, there's no UI for it. But you can use Google Play credits and gift cards, so there's that. Google Stadia's launch lineup, I noted it at the bottom of the story here, is basically 12 games. It's Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Destiny 2, Guilt, which is, I think, the only Google Stadia exclusive on this list. Just Dance 2020, Kine, Mortal Kombat 11, Red Dead Redemption 2, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Samurai Showdown, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Thumper, and Tomb Raider. So
Samurai Showdown.
Just Dance 2020.
Yeah.
1/4 of the entire launch lineup for Google Stadia was Tomb Raider. Yep. I saw someone on Twitter when they announced the launch lineup for Google Stadia make a very funny joke, saying that the Google Stadia's launch lineup looked like an Argos Black Friday sale. It's kind of like, yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
All right, I see. A quarter of the launch lineup in it.
As is Lara Croft. What are your thoughts on Google Stadia at this moment in time?
I don't know. I mean, none of this is really like the catastrophe they seem to think it is. It's like, I'm not surprised it doesn't have 4K and HDR because it's like, well, no shit.
But it's supposed to. See, we got sold on that big video reveal. Was it just before E3? It was when they revealed Baldur's Gate and stuff. And then, they've slowly, since June, been, peeling back features like that they've talked about, like until we've gotten to this point where it's like it doesn't have a lot of stuff that it was either supposed to have or like you would expect. Like you can earn achievements, but you can't look at them. I mean, we've had this figured out on consoles for a decade more. Like, is this not something that should be relatively? And again, I'm not a game developer or a platform developer or whatever, but is this not relatively easy? I just hire someone who used to work at Microsoft or Sony, who have had achievements on trophies on their consoles since.
Yeah, in fairness,
2000s.
Sony's trophy system was balked when that was introduced. Like that didn't work properly for like a year.
I don't have a PlayStation 3. Can't comment on that. But it is just.
Neither did I at the time. I just remember that this was back when like every week the story about Sony was just hilarious.
Huh. I mean, the only things I remember about PlayStation 3 were $600, get a second job.
Yeah, it was basically them still trying to record that.
Everything got hacked that one time for like a month. And I didn't have one to play The Last of Us, and I was sad. That was my entire memory of a PlayStation 3. I mean, this wouldn't be such a big deal if Google had called this what it is, which is early access, or like whatever the fucking equivalent is when you're launching a Google game streaming service platform thing. It's like, this is early access. This is a beta. You're paying to get your early access, knowing full well that you're going to be testing. All the different features and stuff's going to be missing from the launch, and they'll patch it in or like put it in as and when, like in the lead up to the full launch. But that's not what they did. That's not what people bought the Google Stadia for. Like it was like, this is going to be a product. It's going to be the console killer. This is the future of gaming.
Yeah, this is going to be a full-featured video game platform from day one, streaming 4K content to your phone.
Yeah, to your phone. Or your tablet or your PC or your TV, and now it's like, well, yes, if you have a Founders Edition Chromecast Ultra. If you already have a Chromecast Ultra, no, it doesn't work. If you have any other phone than a Google Pixel, sorry, you won't be able to do it on your phone. Like, it's just, they're just piling caveats on top of caveats, and it's like, if I had pre-ordered this, which I didn't because I don't, like...
Well, in fairness, why would you? Because I think we took one look at this and figured, well, this is exactly what was going to happen. They were going to have to step back from what they're promising, because what they're promising simply was not technically possible.
Yeah.
In most of the developed world.
Yeah, it's like we don't live in a country with exceptionally good internet infrastructure, like which is
but it's decent. You know, it's not Arkansas.
Yeah, it's like it's not Arkansas an interesting.
It's not the middle of the United States where the internet signal is Jim Bob holding up a satellite dish above his trailer park. I'm just picking on Trump voters. Sorry.
But you're right. It's like it's not great, but it's not the worst. But it's still like Keith can't do this in any capacity with the internet connection that he has.
Yeah.
Like it for example, like I probably wouldn't be able to do 4K, and I got fiber, but I'm probably like on the edge of being able to do 4K, where it's like I wouldn't even attempt it because it might impact the game experience. Like, and it's just like, but we all saw this coming, so it's one of those things where it's like,
how is this a mass market proposition outside?
So it's like, how do we comment on this when we're just saying the things we've already said?
Especially when the 12 launch games are the best of 2018.
Like, well, hey, great, fantastic. I'm sitting here playing Star Wars. You're sitting here playing Pokemon, and it's like, but yeah, sure, I'll boot up Assassin's Creed Odyssey again. Like,
I mean, I suppose they're sort of following for this kind of Switch model of yes, you can play Red Dead Redemption 2 on your phone. Okay, cool. I don't really need it to be in 4K then.
But why would I want to? Like I don't know.
Like it's already a bugger to control. Before I'm playing on my phone with lag.
And like, what you gonna be using? Like Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi. Like once I step out of the door to my house, like let's say
Yeah, you're going to be using on ScotRail.
Yeah, it's like, let's say for the sake of argument, I'm a Google Stadia subscriber, right? And like November 19th comes, and I've got xCloud on my phone, obviously, and I own a Nintendo Switch and a Vita somewhere in the house, but I haven't used that for
Yeah,
years. The like once I step out of my door, even like owning or being a subscriber of those three things, the only thing I'm going to be able to use outside of this house in on the move in public is the Switch because it doesn't rely on an internet connection. Because
thankfully, because Nintendo.
yeah, like the like Wi-Fi out in public, like what am I going to use? The bus Wi-Fi, the train Wi-Fi? It's not going to be able to. You can't even stream video on that Wi-Fi. Like how am I supposed to stream a video game?
Even if you could somehow get it to work, you would be the biggest shitheel on the bus.
Yeah,
because you'd be using all the data.
Nobody else will be able to use the Wi-Fi, and if somebody else is trying to use Stadia, we're both fucked. But it's like, okay, well, try using 4G. It's like, okay, well, the 4G signal around my particular area isn't great, but like when I'm commuting to my day job, it's pretty good. But I'll destroy my data cap because guess what? Most mobile phone contracts in the UK like come with data caps. Like unlimited data is not a particularly common thing.
In fairness to Google, that's more of a bigger infrastructure problem than anything else. Like that's not even a technological issue. That's a social issue. Let's blame capitalism.
But it's like the problems with capitalism colliding with the problems of capitalism. It's like this is the thing. This is the product that Google is trying to sell, and these are the issues that product is going to run into.
It just seems like the most low key, lackadaisical product launch possible. And I just think, is this just going to go like on Google's island of misfit toys, along with pages and groups and everything, where it just gets discontinued in 2 years' time and quietly dies?
It just feels like they've rushed it too much. Like their studios aren't set up. Like because they're setting up a bunch of studios to make exclusive content for Google Stadia. They're not set up and ready.
Launches have teething problems. This happens with every major product launch, in fairness. And somebody's got to cross this bridge. Someone's got to grapple with the issue of how you can stream content. Someone's going to do it. And it's going to have to be someone with the reach and the resources of a Google.
Like Microsoft.
But they don't seem that fast.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to get there first. They're trying to get to market first, but because they've tried to get to the market first, it's like their proposition is weak. Whereas I feel like xCloud is doing it in the right way. It's a small preview with a few games, and now it's going to be a slightly bigger preview with a bigger selection of games, and it's going to open up to more territories, and it's a beta, and they're adding stuff to it. And it's like if xCloud had launched and been like the way it is now, like it launched in all territories with 50 games and limited controller support, and you could only use it on an Android phone, I'd be saying the same stuff, but it's a preview program. So that's why Google should have labeled this early access, because you could get away with stuff if you're saying, hey, this isn't the finished product, but if you want to come along for the journey with us, you can. That's what early access was invented for.
Yeah, but then you don't get the razzmatazz and the page views of rolling out, your flagship or new product on Oxford Street, because it's early access.
True.
I don't know. It's putting the cart before the horse. It's selling a product before there's a product.
Pretty much true. And you also only get one first impression.
Yeah.
Just ask Xbox.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I'm thinking back on one of the blog posts of Penny Arcade said years ago about some console launcher. I can't remember which one. Is that you're never going to win the console generation. You're never going to be like a huge mass market success with just hardcore gamers. But what the enthusiast audience allows is to sort of create an end of progress. Like sort of like it makes the early months and years like tolerable. Like someone's got to go out and buy your console first and talk about it and love it. And if you're not really getting that audience then it makes it difficult for it to become a mass market prospect.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what happened with the Xbox One. That's what happened with the PlayStation, with the PS3.
Yeah, it's like we've seen it play out in real time, like a bunch at this point. It's like that, like years after like the Xbox One reveal event, people were still asking me questions about like, oh, but I like Xbox, but I, like it's always online. It's got the stuff that was in that reveal that they then backtracked on, and like people still like, obviously like people who weren't as connected to gaming as we are, or even like semi-hardcore gamers, it was like would still be asking questions about like, but it's always connected, you can't play used games, this, that, the other, and it's like no, like obviously I'm standing there explaining them, going, no, the Xbox is good now, it's cool.
Yeah, well, the narrative for about 18 months of this generation was that the Xbox One was struggling to hit its games, were struggling to hit 1080p.
Yes,
and if they were hitting 1080p, then the frame rate was locked. Now, to what extent frame rate and resolution even matters, I would argue that it's been overstated. But the point is that it looked bad in the back of a box.
Yeah, when your competitor was having the same games and they could go, it's 1080, it's full HD, like.
That's like, well, if you're playing it on a 19-inch, 720p display, and it's a turn-based strat, I don't know, whatever it's. I don't know. Pokemon is locked at 30 frames per second. It's like I don't really need that to be in 60 frames.
Yeah. I like games that are in 60 frames a second. Like, I like the way they feel to play, but it's also on, as long as it's a stable frame rate and it's like up 30 plus, like, I can live with that. Like, I can live with that. Let's move on because we are barreling towards a lot of time. And we are 2/5 of the way through the podcast.
That's fine. We'll go for the next one easy because it's fun.
Yeah, it's that month. It's that month. The NPD October 2019 breakdown. Top 10 best-selling games of October 2019. Number 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. Number 2, no, I know, right? Holy shit! What the fuck? Number 2, The Outer Worlds. Number 3, Luigi's Mansion 3.
What?
Number 4, Madden NFL. Number 5, NBA. Number 6, Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Number 7, WWE 2K20. Number 8, FIFA 20. Number 9, Borderlands 3. Number 10, Ring Fit Adventure. Go figure. I mean, I actually played that at EGX. It's a lot of fun.
People like them fitness games.
It's a lot of fun, but it's not just like, so Wii Sports, right? Not Wii Fit, sorry, my mistake.
Wii Fit.
It was a glorified gym membership, right? Like you had your personal trainer, and you did all the exercises, and it wasn't dressed up in any way. Ring Fit Adventure it's a fucking RPG. Like, it's an RPG, and all of your attacks and moves and special moves and stuff are just like exercises. Like, if anything was going to get me to exercise on the regular, it would be Ring Fit Adventure, because it would be like, you just do a few levels and do a boss fight, and it's like, that's a half-hour workout. But it's fun because I'm accomplishing something. Whereas when I'm on a treadmill, even though I am literally accomplishing something in real life, it's like, I'm just like, this is boring. I don't want to do this.
Being a treadmill's really boring.
Yeah. But it's like, I'm jogging in place when I was playing in EGX, and it's like, you do this, do that. Okay, now you're in a fight. Now you got to choose your moves. And I was like doing this weird squat thing, and I was doing all this other stuff, and it was like, this is fun. This is fun. I'm accomplishing getting healthy, and I'm also making progress in a video game at the same time. And they masked it just enough so that it wasn't just like a really boring exercise thing. Also, I broke a couch once when I was playing Wii Fit, so I have bad memories of that.
I'm not sure you're doing that right.
I was doing the squat thing, where you have to squat, but then you have to go up on your toes. But then it was making me hold it for like 30 seconds, and I lost my balance and fell into my couch.
Oh, I see.
Even though I had the thing on, I am unfit as fuck, it was still trying to kill me. Top 10 best-selling games of 2019 year to date.
Hang on, no, can we just take a moment? Point out
sorry.
Luigi's Mansion is number 3.
I scrolled too far.
Luigi's Mansion is at 3, despite the fact it came out on the last day of October.
it set a new launch month franchise sales record, besting previous high Luigi's Mansion, the first
In one day.
in one day. Yeah, because it was the 31st. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Fuck you, Call of Duty.
Fuck you, all other sports games. Which is basically what the rest of the top 10 was.
Yeah.
Ha, take that. Luigi's Mansion, I haven't played it. I'm looking forward to playing it, though.
I haven't played it either.
I want to try and get around to it before the end of the X. It looks like fun. Top 10 best-selling games of 2019 yet to date. I believe it was me and Patrick who had the discussion about the NPD last month, and I made a comment that has come back to bite me in the bum. But we'll get to that. Number 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. Oh, God. It's the top
in 1 month.
In 1 month. In it came out on the 25th of October, so in 6 days it was the best-selling game of the year. And
I suppose I think the thing about video games, we'll just get them on the first weekend. They don't have.
Yeah, it's we're still in that space where it's like, although first day one sales aren't.
I mean, I say that and then see who's at number 10. In fairness.
Number 2, NBA 2K20. Number 3, Madden NFL 20. Number 4, Borderlands 3. Number 5, Mortal Kombat 11. Number 6, Kingdom Hearts 3. Number 7, Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Number 8, Anthem. Number 9, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Number 10, Grand Theft Auto 5. Some notes on that. Call of Duty Modern Warfare debuts as the best-selling game of 2019, surprising absolutely no one. Call of Duty remains the best-selling video game franchise in US tracked history. This is the bit about the comment that I made. Resident Evil 2 dropped off the top 10 instead of Grand Theft Auto 5, which is proof that God is dead. So if you remember, we had this conversation about the NPDs last time, and Grand Theft Auto 5 was at number 10. And then Smash Brothers was at 9, and then Resident Evil 2 was at 8. And I was like, because Call of Duty was coming out, I was like, finally, Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to drop off the top 10 yet a date.
Nope.
It outsold Resident Evil 2 to the point where it overtook it. I hate everything right now. Can we just not with Grand Theft Auto 5? Can we just get to the end of 2019 and just not have Grand Theft Auto 5 be one of the best-selling games of the year?
It's got a great attach rate. I honestly think that everyone who gets a PS4 or an Xbox One gets a copy of Grand Theft Auto 5.
I'm sick of every month.
And it's on sale quite a lot. It's actually on sale finally for quite a lot. I finally got 6 months ago for 16 quid. And Resident Evil only hit £20 in October, and I know this because that's when I got it.
Yeah, fair. Could we just go 1 month where I don't have to say the words Grand Theft Auto 5 in relation to it being a top-selling game? Boo. Plus Resident Evil 2 is awesome. Boo. Double boo. I hate sports games as well. Why are they always so popular?
This happens because this happens every year, and for some people, these are the only games people buy.
This is true, and I don't hold it against
They get
anyone.
Call of Duty, and they get Madden, FIFA, NBA.
Their sports game of choice. Yeah. It's fine, and I don't hold it against people. It is a bit of a shame when games like Resident Evil 2 just poof disappear, and Anthem's still in the top 10.
It also means that there's absolutely no motivation whatsoever to improve. So it's the same game every year. Roster updates.
Yeah, plus Resident Evil 2 sold well. When we're talking about the top 10 games selling, best-selling games of the year to date, we're talking about insane, unimaginable sales numbers. Resident Evil 2 is fine.
I think it's more astonishing that Anthem, a game that no one talks about and everybody hates, is at number.
That would be a perfect segue in the next segment, but I wanted to do one thing first. Parry.
Also, Borderlands 3, which is kind of the same. I feel like no one's talking.
Borderlands 3 was a big day one thing. I feel like it exploded. Everyone was talking about it for maybe a week, and then it just went away.
Yeah. But
because it's a super popular franchise, a ton of people bought it. But I want to ask you a question. Normally, what I would do right now is at the end of every NPD, I would ask us to predict, what's going to be the best-selling new release game of the month, so November. But instead, I want to play a slightly different game. And I'm going to ask you, where in the
which
top...
version of Pokemon is it going to be?
Sword. Where
Yeah, it's gonna be
it's
Sword.
going to be
Well,
Sword.
it's gonna be Sword.
In the top 20 best-selling games of November 2019, where is Death Stranding going to end up?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yes, indeed.
It's just new games, right?
It's all the games. So it's the top 20 best-selling games of
So it's
November.
best-selling games. So,
Yeah.
so Sword and then Shield. It's going to be 1 and 2. So Death Stranding. I don't know. I mean, it feels like it's got a lot of discourse. A lot of people buying it. So I'm going to say. I'm just looking at like Call of Duty and NBA and Madden, getting depressed.
It's like, yeah, use the current top 10 as a reference point.
Yeah. I'm going to say 3. I'm going to say it's going to be 3 after the Pokemon.
Okay.
Unless it depends. Do we count the Pokemons as different SKUs?
Shit, you know what? I don't know how the NPD does it. And I'd have to go back too far to find out by looking at Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu.
Okay.
I don't remember.
I'm gonna say 3.
Say 3, unless if it's 2 because Pokemon Sword and Shield are counted as one SKU. We'll say you said 2. Fair enough. That's what I wanted to ask. I look forward to finding out the results.
I'm not saying that's got nothing to do with dessert necessarily. I'm not saying it necessarily deserves to.
Like you're predicting where it is. It's like when we do the OpenCritic thing. It's like we're not trying to predict what we think the score will be, or what we think the score should be. It's what we think the score will be.
Because I think it's got a weird kind of name recognition that and it got a huge marketing push, and people have been talking about it for years.
Hey, Days Gone sold really well, and the discourse around that game was more negative than anything that I've seen about Death Stranding.
Yeah, the discourse just about Death Stranding, I just think nobody knows
what to say.
what to say. Like, is it good?
I don't know, but to now latch on to the segue you gave me about 5 minutes ago.
Sorry.
No. I derailed that segue, but I want to pull it back and say that speaking of people not talking about Anthem, number 4, sources say that BioWare plans a complete overhaul for Anthem. This is from Jason Schreier over at Kotaku, who writes, recent silence and a couple of high-profile departures from BioWare have led fans and pundits to speculate that the studio has abandoned its most recent game, Anthem, but the opposite is true. For the last few months, BioWare and parent company EA have been planning an overhaul of the online shooter, according to 3 people familiar with those plans. Some call it Anthem 2.0 or Anthem Next. Many of the details are still in flux, and there's no clear timeline for the Anthem Next project just yet. In fact, from what I've heard, the developers at BioWare haven't even decided how it will be distributed. They're still figuring out whether updates should be released all at once or over an extended period of time. Anthem could be overhauled through a series of updates a la No Man's Sky. It could get game-changing expansions like Destiny's critically acclaimed Taken King. Most of Anthem's biggest systems, its mission structure, its loot, its world, will change drastically, but the developers have not yet figured out exactly what that will look like. They've even considered releasing Anthem Next as a brand new game, although those who work on the project said that could take a lot of forms, and it's unlikely they'll charge full price to Anthem players. The one thing that's for sure is that BioWare has not abandoned Anthem, despite recent breathless declarations that the game is dead. There are a few better ways to get views on YouTube than declaring Anthem to be dead. Word. Right now, dozens if not hundreds of developers at both BioWare's offices in Austin, Texas and Edmonton, Alberta, Canada are quietly working on plans to overhaul the game. I'll skip to the last paragraph. BioWare is still putting a lot of work into Anthem. Details on Anthem Next are hazy, but among other things, the game's developers plan to overhaul the loot, the quests, the social aspects of the game, the difficulty, the progression system, and the world map. I almost managed to keep going there. One person on the project said they're planning to change the game's entire structure. Right now, the entire world of Anthem is set on a single contiguous map. Separating the map into segments would allow developers to tweak and play around with those segments without worrying that they might create bugs and glitches all across the world. Quote, we're also looking at breaking up the need to go back to Fort Tarsus after every mission, and what a mission technically is. That was always a weird disconnect. We're trying to integrate the disparate parts of the game together, end quote. You know, I think I've never asked you this question on the podcast. Did you ever play Anthem?
No.
Okay, I figured
I
that
didn't want to play. I wasn't going to pay for. I wasn't going to pay full price for it, and since I don't currently have a PSN subscription, that's like £100 game. So
I don't even know if it's worth the $3.99.
That's the value prospect. It's kind of,
that's fair.
So I was kind of waiting until it came out to see what people said. Then people said what they said.
People said what they said. The game was how it was.
I don't want to hate it. I want to love it because of who's making it. And
I mean, like from E3 last year to when it came out, I wasn't optimistic. Like from everything that we had seen.
I don't think anyone was. I don't think BioWare was.
But no, BioWare wasn't. As we've learned in the past 6 months, even BioWare knew it was gonna be a disaster. But it's like I wanted to like the game. I wanted the game to be good. I have never in my entire life wanted a game to fail or be bad. But at the same time, it's like sometimes you can see a car crash coming in the games industry. Like sometimes you can see a car crash release coming from a mile away. Like Fallout 76, 2 weeks before Fallout 76 came out, I remember sitting on this podcast with Keith and Russell saying, I have bought this game, I have preloaded it, I have front row seats to what's about to happen. And it was the same with Anthem. It was like, I have front row seats to what this is about to unleash upon the world. And it sucks to be right sometimes, I guess, is my point to that. But hey, it sounds like they're rebuilding the entire game, because when you say that the developers plan to overhaul the loot, the quests, the social aspects of the game, the difficulty, the progression system, and the world map, that's the entire game. That's the whole thing.
So why not just, set it in space, give everyone psychic powers, and call it Mass Effect?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you're making a new game. But you're in that awkward position where, because you're calling it Anthem Next, like No Man's Sky Next, it's like if you try to sell people
Reborn.
a Realm Reborn, like whatever the fuck they called the Fallout 76 one that got delayed. It's like if you try to do this, and as you've noted earlier in the story, it's like if you try to sell this as a new game, ain't no one gonna fucking buy it.
No. There's no way they'll get away with that, especially if it's the 8th highest selling game of the year.
Yeah, it's like it's in EA Access. It's not even in the Premier Vault. It's in EA Access. You can get this game for $3.99 a month, plus an Xbox Live or PlayStation Network subscription. But the No Man's Sky worked in part because, one, it was the culmination of 3 major updates to the game spread out over 3 years, and they were all free. So people could just dip back into the game who bought it at launch and were perhaps a bit disappointed with it and come back and see that, oh, actually, this is fucking rad. Because it was. I did that. I went back and played it after No Man's Sky Next. And it's like, the fact that they're internally referring to it as Anthem Next says to me that this is where they've got their inspiration from, is No Man's Sky Next. And, you can't... If you rebuild the entire game and then try to sell it back to us, it's not going to be the 8th best-selling game of the year. Whenever it comes out.
Yeah, but I'm trying not to be YouTube troll, but remember who's publishing.
And also EA is publishing it. Yeah. They were talking. Someone went on Twitter. So they're making Dragon Age 4. That was mentioned. And
for what it's worth, ideologically, I don't have a problem with someone selling you an updated version of the game. I'm thinking about how Pokemon Sword and Shield, half the Pokemon are, and everyone's complaining about it and upset. And it's like, you realize that they're going to do an updated re-release of this in 2 years' time, like they always do.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't have a problem with that because it's sort of feels like it's built in. I know, I'm authority on this, and I feel like publishers do have the right to sell you new products.
Crazy, right? But yeah, no, I agree.
But on the other hand, I think Anthem had a lot of goodwill. People had a lot of goodwill towards BioWare going into Anthem.
Yes.
People wanted to, and also I think a lot of the subtext of the marketing, we're holding Dragon Age hostage until you buy Anthem. Yeah.
Well, that was the pre-release messaging. That was why, even though Dragon Age 4 isn't coming out until 2022 at the earliest, according to whatever that one guy from BioWare said, that was why it was at the Game Awards, because it was a case of, like, you need to buy Anthem.
Remember, we still make these. Please like.
Yeah,
please like.
we're making the good thing, but you have to buy Anthem. It's like, yeah. It's the same reason why when they revealed Fallout 76, they also did the whole thing where it's like, we're making the Elder Scrolls 6. It's because they're trying to get people to remember that, they make the thing that I really like. Even though Fallout 76 is a completely different thing. Like, it's anticipating what's going to happen. And me saying, don't sell Anthem next back to people for money, it's not necessarily me saying they can't do that. They could do that. They shouldn't.
I think that it's very wrong-headed because I think the thinking behind EA wanted a Destiny, and they didn't really care which of their in-house developers produced it, and BioWare were the ones who sort of drew the short straw. That's kind of changed because a week before EA stealth released Apex Legends.
Yeah.
As if they didn't have faith in their own product, and now EA has at least reasonably well regarded, massively multiplayer shooter.
Oh yeah, I mean Apex Legends is,
it's a little apples and oranges,
It is, but at the same
time, it's comparing Destiny, but at the same time, it sort of. It releases a lot of the pressure BioWare to do things that aren't BioWare, that aren't playing to their strengths, really.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this. How many times have we seen this from an EA on?
Well, the Old Republic, for instance. I personally feel like the was kind of a mismatch for.
It was, but they've done all right with the Old Republic.
Yeah.
Till last week, it was the best Star Wars game of the past decade. We've seen this before with Visceral Games, right? Like, they make Dead Space, and then EA tries to turn Dead Space into a huge, massive, cross-media juggernaut of an IP when it's just a spooky horror game, and when that fails, Visceral has to make Battlefield. And then, surprisingly, that Battlefield game isn't great, because Visceral was a talented studio full of talented people, but a bunch of people left during that Dead Space 3 Battlefield Hardline thing. And it's like, it's no wonder that when you take the studio away from making the thing that they're really good at making, and forcibly so.
Yeah, I don't think that studios should just remake. I'm not saying that BioWare should make Mass Effect and nothing else.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not arguing against Horizon Zero Dawn. It's like Guerrilla Games chose to make a different type of game.
Yeah, if Anthem had been a first-person single-player RPG, and it had been BioWare as fuck, except you fly around like Iron Man, it would probably be Game of the Year.
Probably. Oh, definitely.
We'd still be talking about it.
We would. I mean, in a completely different context.
And instead, every time we talk about Anthem, it's usually just left the project.
Yeah. Chad Robertson put out a blog post in September talking about how awesome, the future of Anthem was going to be, and then he left 3 weeks later. It's like, at a certain point, you've just got to read the tea leaves. And I'm sure we will be talking about Anthem in our end of year wrap up.
Yeah, I think in fairness, that you can pull projects like this around, like things like No Man's Sky and Final Fantasy 14. But I mean, No Man's Sky was one dude's indie passion project. Final Fantasy 14. I don't even want to think about the resources Square put to that.
That also was a passion project. There's a no-clip documentary about Final Fantasy 14. It's incredible. And the guy they brought in, it was a passion project for him to save the Final Fantasy 14.
Anthem's kind of in a different place because unlike No Man's Sky and unlike Fantasy 14, I don't think anybody went into Anthem really that enthusiastic about it.
Yeah,
about the project itself.
Just going, fuck yeah, let's make this.
Yeah. Is anyone really desperate for it to be remade? It's a sunk cost fallacy. I just feel like it. Honestly, I'd rather they put the resources towards Apex Legends.
Yeah, I mean, put the resources towards Apex, put the resources towards Dragon Age 4. Like,
And maybe get a new studio to work on a looter shooter.
yeah. I mean, there must be someone, right? Well, someone's got to be available. But like purpose build a studio to do it. And again, like I got no problem with studios pivoting to making different types of games from what they're used to making, but it never really felt like BioWare's heart was in it.
No,
And I mean, the Jason Schreier piece from months ago, like where it kind of went into depth about the development of Anthem, it didn't feel like anyone at BioWare. It really didn't seem like their heart was in it. They didn't even know what it was until 16 months before it came out. Like it was crazy. Like, but yeah, let's move on to our final segment. This probably won't take all that long. Number 5, RuneScape is rethinking its monetization after a UK report on one player's alleged $62,000 spend. This is from Chris Neal over at Massively OP, who writes, RuneScape is a pretty old game, but it has a new way of doing business as a free-to-play MMORPG with various microtransaction models and monetization hooks. That said, JageX, that's how you pronounce that, right? JageX.
no idea.
Has heard feedback that it can do better with these systems and is trying to take that feedback to heart, according to a live stream last week. The stream opened with the mention of the parliamentary report that alleges someone spent over $60,000 in one game, $60,000 in one game, on the game. Let me try that again. The stream opened with the mention of the parliamentary report that alleges someone spent over $60,000 on the game, which was found by the parliamentary committee to be lower than that according to presented evidence. Jagex has sent recommendations regarding the matter and are awaiting a committee response, but that could take some time due to general elections. So with that in mind, Jagex is taking matters into its own hands to bring things back in line. The stream went on to take on several questions regarding how microtransactions are handled, where the money goes, and whether RuneScape players are being outright fleeced. They even took the rather acerbic question of why players should trust Jagex and responded by promising action as well as being openly communicative. The livestream also brought up several ideas to fix RuneScape's monetization, including combining all its different stores, improving Treasure Hunter, planning a beta test for buff bars, and improving the Rune Pass to make tasks more interesting, as well as make free to Premier Club members. Expect a blog on that this week and an update later in the month. So there's 2 takeaways I've got from that particular news piece. 1, someone spent $62,000 on a single game. And 2, the developer has acknowledged that someone spent $62,000 on that game and is promising to change somehow, in some way, at some point, with no firm ideas in mind. Those were my 2 takeaways from this. And I just recall the Warframe documentary I watched where they were talking about they had put a monetization system in their game which acted something like this. For the life of me, I'm on and off with that game. I don't really follow it too much, and I don't know what the system was, but it was a system where someone kept hitting. So they were watching a player in the game keep hitting the button, like spending money on this system.
Yeesh.
So they turned it off. Like they were just like, yeah, we can't do it. Like they would just keep hitting the button. No, so they just turned the thing off within like a day. I think it was when they were watching someone do it because they were like, yeah, we can't.
I mean, good for them.
Good for them.
It's like they see another human being and struggling, decide to act rather than take the money.
It's like, I've got no problem with post-game monetization in free-to-play games. You got to make your money somehow, right? Whatever. But like, if someone spends $62,000 on your free-to-play game, like, you should take a look at your monetization practices because, yeah, that's fucking nuts. I just think, like, what costs $62,000 in life? Like,
I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often because I think that's this is the business model is of play games. Is
Yeah.
you go fishing for your whales.
I mean, they found.
Which
Yeah.
is why it feels icky, because it feels like it's deliberately exploiting the few people who are willing to cough out more money than they should.
It makes the games made for those people, like,
Yeah,
or not necessarily for them, like, because if it was made for them, they wouldn't be spending 60 grand on it. But like, it's made targeting them, like,
yeah,
to spend money, and it's shit. And I really hate the fact that the games industry has found a way to basically, like, when it was just DLC, a person could spend the amount of money that the DLC was on a
yeah.
game. But
You,
now
you
it's like,
spend $1.50 and you've got your whole salmon.
yeah, like, but now it's like infinity. That, like, how much can you spend on this game? Infinity amount.
Yeah.
Like, because you just keep hitting the button, right? You just keep buying the loot boxes, or
get buying the coins in Pokemon
Yeah.
Go, which I'm sure someone does.
yeah, like, you know,
And
like,
Pokemon Go is actually pretty good about it. Like, you could play that game, download that game for free, and never spend a penny. Easy.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. But I've struggled with that kind of stuff before in like certain games in the past. I've talked about it before, where it's like it's it wasn't even. It's like for people like myself, like speaking is on the personal level for a minute. It's like it's not even. It was never even about the content. It wasn't like it's not what I was getting. It was just opening the packs or like the loot boxes or the card packs or whatever. It was just like it's a rush, and I want to keep doing it, and it wasn't happening fast enough while I was playing the game. So I just spent a bunch of money, and yeah, nowhere near $62,000.
No,
I've never had that anything
yeah,
close to that amount. But
yeah, it's an extreme example, but it's not atypical.
no, I mean, I could see how someone could do it very easily, because
The fact that someone spent $62,000 a year, it doesn't surprise me as much as the fact that the company said, actually, oh, we're okay, stop.
I mean, in part it was because they were kind of called out in a parliamentary committee. It's like, I wonder if that hadn't happened and they wouldn't have mentioned it. But yeah, like when you're called out like that, you kind of have to sort of.
It's almost like regulation works.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? $62,000, man. Like, I think the worst I ever got was I spent like 200 quid on a game. Not all at once, over the course of months.
Which is still, when you think about it, I mean, 200.
I mean, that's crazy. And this wasn't a free-to-play game. This was a game I paid for. Like,
all right.
Like, I bought the game and then bought a bunch of stuff in it, like, over the course of like a few months. Yeah. It wasn't great.
Yeah, unless you bought Rock Band, that's a bit.
Oh, I mean, I spent shitloads like of money on Rock Band DLC, but I went in
God,
like,
I don't even want to.
yeah, like I went in with my eyes open on that. Like, that was like, yeah, I want to buy this song, and I want this song, and I want this song, and it was like, yeah, and I had the ultimate, like, my ultimate Rock Band experience with like 300 songs or whatever, and I was like, yeah, that's one thing. But opening loot boxes where you get like the cosmetic items and stuff, it's like, it's not worth. It's just not worth spending the money on it, but I still have to exercise some form of restraint because I guess I'm susceptible to that kind of thing. Should we talk about the games that are coming out this week?
Yes.
Let's talk about the games that
Hooray!
are coming out this week. It's a short list for once, thankfully. On November 19th, Shenmue 3 comes out on PC and PS4. Bubble Bobble 4 Friends comes out on Switch. And
Yay!
Google Stadia launches. I'm looking forward to talking. I can already see the discussion we're going to be having on next week's podcast. On November 21st, Asterix and Obelix XXL3, The Crystal Mania, comes out on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. And then on November 22nd, Civilization 6 comes out on PS4 and Xbox One. And Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts comes out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. I mean, the game of the week there is clearly Bubble Bobble for Friends, obviously. Obviously, nothing else stands out as much as Bubble Bobble for Friends. So, it's time for Guess the Score, which Patrick played with me last week. We had 3 games where we guessed the open. So every week, I'll actually explain quickly what it is. So every week, we take a look at the new releases and we try to guess the OpenCritic averages of some of the games that are coming out. It's a fun little game. Whoever gets closest to the score gets 1 point. If you manage to get the score dead on, you get 2 points, and whoever wins gets put into the... We're keeping a tally of who wins week by week, and then we'll see. It's me versus co-host, because obviously I don't have the same co-host every week. So last week we predicted the score of 3 games, the first of which is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Parik, you guessed that it would have an OpenCritic average of 78, and I guessed that it would have an OpenCritic average of 89, and it has an OpenCritic average at the time of recording of 85. So I was close.
Yeah,
but I went over.
I thought it was going to be like a technical hot mess, and people were going to...
I mean, it's not great, like... But
I mean, I wasn't wrong.
Yeah, you
but...
weren't wrong. Like, it has problems when it's loading. Like, so, like, you know, when, like, it's a seamless world, but there are areas where you walk past an invisible wall and it's loading what's next. It'll freeze from time to time, and that's been my experience. And sometimes enemies don't register that you're there. Like, I had a boss fight, and the boss just completely forgot I existed, and I lightsabered it to death. But it's not egregious. Like Batman Arkham Knight, for example. What else did we guess? It's Pokemon Sword and Shield. It was amalgamated into one. Sword and Shield were the same thing. So I remember that was a question last week. Patrick, you guessed that it would get an OpenCritic average of 85. I guessed that it would get an OpenCritic average of 81. And at the time of recording, it has an OpenCritic average of 80.
Yeah, I overstated it. It seems like most of the reviews sort of agreed with the discourse about
I mean,
it being kind of the graphics not being great and not being enough Pokemon and not enough post game content.
I mean, it's still an 80 though. Like, that's still pretty good. Like, I say pretty good. It's still really good. It's better than the next one.
I know. I just felt like professional reviewers compensate.
Maybe. I mean, sometimes that does happen. Sometimes you can sort of see it happening, but yeah. Anyway, the last game that we tried to guess the OpenCritic score of was Terminator Resistance. We were both in the right ballpark.
Still no idea what that.
Neither of us knew what it was, but we both knew it was a movie tie-in game, and I feel like we adjusted ourselves accordingly. Parik, you guessed that it would have an OpenCritic average of 41. I guessed that it would have an OpenCritic average of 62. And the OpenCritic average of Terminator Resistance at the time of recording was 51. Which is incredibly low for any kind of Metacritic, OpenCritic average.
Yeah, I forgot it's a 4-point scale.
Yeah, it's like... I mean, it starts from 60, so the fact that something the Terminator got 51 is telling. But you were closer than me by 1 point. Which brings the final score of this week is 2-1. I won. Yay. And currently, because we've been playing this game for 3 weeks, it is Amy 2, co-host 1. Parik.
Boo.
I had a terrible first week. I had an amazing second week where I managed to get two scores bang on in an average third week. There's only one game on the list this week. We're going head-to-head with one game. Parik, let's guess the OpenCritic score of Shenmue 3. Bearing in mind the reviews come out 2 days after the game.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it is,
isn't it? How can you do... You can't possibly do that. You can't embargo a game that's...
Unfortunately, what it is it's a case of, like, Eurogamer accepted a review code, so they can't publish a review until 2 days after the game came out. If I was so inclined,
right,
I could, because I just buy the game.
Yeah, I was thinking, what is you can just buy the game? Oh,
yeah, because if they've accepted the code, they can't. Yeah, that's not how it works.
It's still bullshit.
Well, usually it doesn't work like this. Usually you're just embargoed until the day before a game comes out.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
I'm quite happy I didn't get a Shenmue 3 review code now.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. I think I don't think it's going to do great. My gut instinct was to say, like, I was going to say like about 74, but I think I'm going to lower that to about 72. 71.
71. Pat
71.
Ricky, 71. I am going for 77. Nostalgia goggles, I think, are going to play a small part in this. Like, regardless of the quality of the game, of which I don't know any of it, but I think
See,
nostalgia goggles are going to be on a bit.
I think it's going to lose a lot of marks because a lot of reviewers are just going to say, "Yeah, Yakuza, display that."
Yakuza, karaoke, phone sex lines.
Go watch Titanic.
Go watch. Patrick, that's going to do it for this episode of the Words About Gamescast. Thank you for being here. We had a very spirited discussion, and I enjoyed it greatly. And I don't know why I'm saying that so formally, but apparently that's just how I'm closing out this podcast. Thanks for joining me. I love you so much. You're the best. And yeah, I check it out, Ross. Always have. Always will. Say bye, Patrick.
Bye.